It was announced yesterday that the head of CEO, Jeff Zucker, was gonna be stepping down, which I think a lot of people greeted as great news, other than a few of the hosts at CNN. Now you might expect, since Fox News hates CNN, that someone like Tucker Carlson would use this as an opportunity to attack Zucker and also CNN, which he sort of did do, but he's also a contrarian. So he found a way to make the stepping down of Zucker a thing about masculinity and the end of America or something. Take a look.
Still, on this day when we should be celebrating Jeff Zucker's departure, we're not celebrating. Why is that? Because we see a pattern here. There are an awful lot of contemptible leaders in corporate America, maybe most of them, but only a certain kind of CEO ever gets fired. It's not the weak ones. The guys who do what they're told, issue the cringy statements and let the HR department run everything. Those people tend to keep their jobs till they retire. People like that just want to get it over with and cash out. They don't take risks. They don't dare to build anything. They're just caretakers. If their dignity is the price of job security, they are happy to pay it. More than at any time in our history, America is run by people like that. It's only the strong who are punished. Strong leaders tend to be abrasive. They're arrogant. Sometimes they're what we now call abusive. They ignore convention. They say outrageous things in public and private. They don't blend in with the group. Often they alienate the more sensitive types around them. They don't have maternal instincts.
Okay, I have thoughts. But first, Sabrina, what did you make of whatever that was?
Tucker Carlson seems really, really obsessed with masculinity. And normally people who talk about it that much, they're a little bit more insecure with their own masculinity themselves. So gotta say, I'm almost a little concerned for him.
Yeah, I somewhat disagree. Not that I don't think that he's insecure in a variety of ways. I think that insecurity is at the heart of a lot of conservative men, usually earlier, and then they create this worldview and a series of enemies that they can pawn all of their own problems off to make themselves feel better about their insecurity. I definitely think that's true, but I think for Tucker Carlson and some other right pundits, it's a little bit more intentional, their obsession with masculinity. I don't think that he is allowing just this ongoing crisis of his own manhood to like bleed into his broadcast. I think it is a very intentional thing where they've realized, like equivalent of market research. Oh, so a lot of conservatives are really worried about manhood, and if you like pretend that the libs are taking away their manhood, they'll agree to anything and have no expectations for government. Okay, let's just do the manhood stuff, I guess, because Tucker is not a guy that he doesn't even try to come off as masculine. Like Alex Jones eats pulled pork on camera to pretend that he's tough or something. Joe Rogan really wants you to believe he's tough constantly. Some of them do that, but Tucker he is a bow tie, basically. He's a walking, talking, sleeping bow tie. And so for me, it seems way more like it's a grift. It is a ruse. It is a way to pull one over on his audience, which is gonna be predominantly male and very worried about their own masculinity. I don't know, what do you think about that?
I think that actually does make more sense because I think that he's very smart when it does come to like marketing like that, and he has to know his audience. So I think you're right about that. I think he's appealing to the insecure male viewer who would be worried about their own masculinity.
Now, like we're debating what might be leading to this, but let's draw it back to what he's talking about there, because he is using Jeff Zucker stepping down supposedly for a relationship he had been having that wasn't disclosed, which could be the reason. I sort of doubt that it's the reason. Clearly something was going on. And even though this guy is a massive enemy of Tucker Carlson's, at least publicly, they probably go to all the same parties and all that. He is making it a thing where, no, he's just being taken down because he's a strong guy. That's it. And what makes you a strong guy? Well, presumably some sort of sexual stuff going on in the background that you weren't supposed to do or say. That's it. And because Tucker Carlson's monologues are all massive leaps devoid of logic, if you do that stuff, you are by definition a good leader, a bold leader, a creative leader. You create things. What? I don't know. CNN panels with 20 people on them. A new career opportunity for Jeffrey Lord. Us having to listen to Kayleigh McEnany. What was he creating? Jeff Zucker. What does Tucker create other than deranged men? What like, we're just supposed to assume that if a person is bad and if society has evolved to the point where there are consequences for you creating like, an environment of sexual harassment and those sorts of things, you are by definition a better executive. So we should hate when there are consequences. For instance, when Roger Ailes was revealed to have effectively been running Fox News as some sort of non-consensual harem for literally decades. That presumably is a bad thing. Tucker, of course, didn't engage with that because he doesn't have a single ball with which to actually say what he means. It's all implication. But anyway, Sabrina, we're supposed to, I guess, feel bad for Zucker because he's losing his job.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure why Tucker would defend him of all people. Maybe it is for the reasons that you listed, but maybe he's projecting. Maybe he's worried that could be something that people might try to take him down for, and so that's why he's like, well, gotta come out in defense, even if it's this guy.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I think it's also defensive of a lot of their other leaders. Like Donald Trump could be criticized and has been for the exact same reasons. Matt Gaetz is, he's potentially going down for the same reasons. And a lot of other CEOs that he does not want to ever suffer any consequences, but he is gonna provide the 5% faux populism of, it's not to say that they're not bad people. I bet many of them are. I just won't name any specifics. I'm against corporations in a very vague sense. I don't ever want there to be any regulations or taxes on them, but I understand that you don't like corporations, so I'm gonna pretend that I don't like them either. Anyway, he went on to say a little bit more about this theory. Let's listen.
A lot of modern people are put off by strong leaders, but you've got to have them. Creative masculine energy is the essential quality in any civilization. It's how we got civilization in the first place. But increasingly, boisterous masculinity is systematically suppressed to make way for a timid caretaker class, for people who think the whole point of society is to get to 0 COVID infections or eliminate all traffic deaths. Those may sound like virtuous goals. In fact, they're signifiers of decline. Not dying can never be the whole point. If it is, you're already dead.
Now that may seem like a really weird thing to say. Understand this is a guy who has spent the past 2 years desperately trying to kill his viewers. So I guess he would have to try to convince them that trying not to die shouldn't be your most important priority. But Sabrina, thoughts?
It's really funny how he tries to make the argument almost hyperbolic, we're all gonna die. It's inevitable. But the thing is, the argument was never let's prevent all death ever. It's we can prevent a lot of death with these really easy steps. We're very capable of it. So it's just so funny how Tucker uses arguments like that.
Yeah, 100%. And also he's not making the argument that he seems to. So let's be very clear about that. But I'm gonna get to that in one sec. First of all, if you're a conservative and you're watching this, he is going to try to make this a debate between conservatives who are willing to risk things to build stuff. Although again, he hasn't built literally anything. That's not what this argument is about. This is, he is willing to allow you to face risks if that's the requirement for businesses to be free, for work to go back to normal, all of that. He's not suffering any risks. The worst risk he ever has is accidentally poking himself with a fishing hook or something like that at a Bass Pro Shop. That's it. He's not suffering any. He's vaccinated. He's gonna be just fine. He doesn't want government regulations that might protect you and your family members, your loved ones, your children, your spouse, if that means that they would be a little bit constrained in what they do and their ability to put toxins into the environment and those sorts of things. Let's be very clear about that. Also, he's not making an actual argument. He would make it seem as if, let's not worry about death. Let's not do crazy things to avoid death, which would then be something we could argue against. And I did a version of that already. That's not what he's saying. If that was the case, why does he want to spend tens of billions of dollars to literally wall off the southern border because he's scared an immigrant might come across and kill him? Huh? Why are you trying so hard to avoid death in that case? Why are you like arming yourself with an arsenal of AR-15s because you're worried that marauders might storm across your yard and down? Why are you trying so hard to stay alive? They don't believe any of this stuff. Why are you taking the hydroxychloroquine, the ivermectin? Do you want to live forever? These aren't actual principles that they have. He's trying to get you to accept the inevitable death that he has advocated for the past few years. That's it. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.